welcome to On Your Own Terms. I'm Patty Talbot, and this is the place where we learn together what it takes to change the world on our own terms and in our own special ways. Today I have with me Linda Durham. I met Linda somehow mysteriously in this wonderful online world that we share several years ago. And I started following her on Facebook and learning about the amazing writing that she's done and traveling that she's done and the way that she approaches the world. She inspired me then, she inspires me now, and I was so eager to finally get a really in-depth conversation with this amazing woman who approaches the world with optimism and wonder and a way of connecting with other people that brings greater joy and beauty to the world. You will not want to miss a minute of Linda's homegrown solutions for the patchwork world we share. Linda, welcome. I'm so glad you're with us.
I was born in Philadelphia in 1942, which that makes me an 80-year-old woman, and I'm very excited about that. I'm from a working class, lower middle class family, the middle of three children, but so much space between the three of us that we were like three only children. And as the middle child, I had more freedom. And my mother, especially, paid less attention to me. Let's say she paid very little attention to me. And unlike lots of people whose memories of their early years are how wonderful their mom was, I did not have a mother who supported me or loved me, not nearly as much as she loved my brother, who is 8 years older, and my 5 years younger sister. So I wondered a lot, had a wonderful father who worked hard and wasn't always around, but when he was around, he taught me how to play chess at a very young age. He introduced me to all kinds of wonderful things like my own micrometer and my own typewriter that typed with very funny letters and a slide rule. And so he was my savior, my angel. And I didn't realize that growing up. He was just dad, but we stayed up late watching movies. He worked for RCA, and we had the first television in the whole neighborhood. And this was in the 40s. And people used to come to our house. Can we see the television? I had very red hair. And my dad told me, someday you will be on television and they will have color television and the whole world will see my little girl's beautiful red hair. That must have been the kind of information that struck with me. I was very theatrical. I liked costumes. I liked dancing, jokes. I liked making things up. I liked fairy tales. My life early on had a whole lot of magic in it. And that was fine. I liked my early days. I did have issues at school. I talked too much, and sometimes I wasn't thoughtful of everyone else in my class. And I had a very strong lesson in the fourth grade about bullying because I had the tendency to bully others. I learned from a teacher how dangerous that was, how thoughtless, and a new aspect of me was born at that time to care about others. And life went on, though. That's all very early into the 50s. But in high school, I was voted most talented. I was in a lot of theatrical plays in the community and at school. And when I was 14, I got a job as an apprentice in a professional theater in the round, but all professional musical comedy people and famous people. So from 14 summers all through high school and into college, I worked mainly in the wardrobe department. I dressed Gypsy Rose Lee. I traveled with Veranda Fleming. I had lunch with Oscar Hammerstein. And early on, I met wonderful people who lived a big life, much bigger than the life that I was born into. In the fourth grade, we moved from Philadelphia to New Jersey, to Camden County. And that's all I knew, except from fantasy, from reading, and from my opportunity to invent and reinvent myself by writing plays, making up plays. And I don't know if it's a normal childhood or what in the world a normal childhood could be, but I was happy in spite of whatever I didn't have or whatever I didn't know. Communication matters to me. And in all these decades of my life, what matters? Who am I? Who did I want to be? Who was I? Who am I? Those questions. And then for some reason, a real desire to not only share that, to be a kind of naked talking person, but also the curiosity to find entrance into another person's truth. So I have said a million times that the two things that are most important to me are truth and beauty. I don't know if that's trite or not. I do know that it's true that my life has been, in terms of beauty, I have been involved in the art world for all of my life and in various segments of it, acting, performing. I had an art gallery for 33 years showing contemporary work. And my physical environment has always been important to me. It's truthful, that it represents me. And lately, I've been writing. I wrote a memoir and I figured it all out and finished it during COVID and published it at that time and marketed it poorly. But I'm happy with it. I love it because the book looks beautiful, the way it's designed, and it's truthful. And now I'm working on a new book that I'm calling a journal. It's a combination of journal and novel, really memoir and fantasy, because from the time I was young, I always wondered who else could I be? And early on, for years, at least from high school on, I invented these other people and I have kept them with me through the decades. Who would I have been if I had stayed in college instead of quitting college and moving to New York? Who would I have become if I had stayed married to my first husband, who became a career Army officer? Because when that happened, I had to leave. I had a sense of my life being mine And while no, I'd never wanted to hurt people, I also never really acquiesced in big things about my life. Where was I going? And so I have worked on these characters. One of them, and this is in my book, one of them became a jazz singer in New Orleans. She wore beautiful clothes and she had lovers and admirers. And one became a scientist and mathematician. And she actually works at Los Alamos, which is near where I live in New Mexico. And one is a very ordinary woman who never went out, who stayed in a small community. And how did she develop? And what did I learn from these women as I invented them, as they went their own ways? And years ago, I was just going to write a novel about these made up women, but I'm not really a novel writer, not a whole novel, little passages maybe, but I'm finding my way in telling you, the reader, about these women, how they came into existence, and what I learned from them about the life I have lived or the life I am living. Every morning, and really and truly, every morning when I wake up, one of the very first things I do is go outside, no matter the weather. Usually I have chickens and birds to feed and a dog to take care of. But my first words are, I love my life. And that is true. And if one looked at it deeply, it hasn't always been easy. And I've had failures and sadness and missed opportunities. But everything somehow redounds to just gloriousness, just the thrill that one more day, this very day. Now, I do think a lot about the trajectory of my life or of lives, of what happens. Because at 80, I don't know that many people who are 90. I know there are a lot, but they're not in my circles. I've met some, and I have gone to nursing homes and seen really old people. And I'm wondering how to be a different kind of 80, a different kind of 90. I envision myself at 100 because I hope I'm still funny and I hope I'm still a person who wonders and a person who is figuring things out, because that's how I pass my days, my years, figuring things out. By the time I was in my 20s, I had figured out how to get to different places. And I talk about that in my memoir, Still Moving. I made a promise to myself that every year I would go somewhere I had never been before, and I would go by myself. And I would, to the degree that was possible, I would be in that culture. And I have been to Myanmar, to Vietnam, to Madagascar, to a small kingdom called Lesotho, very few people even know about. I have traveled to weird islands and spent time in Haiti and the Bahamas. And so when I turned 70 and went around the world by myself to reinvent my life, I went with a very small backpack, and I had a project in mind that I would plant seeds of peace with the people I met along the way. And I made small paper discs embedded with wildflower seed. And on one side, there was a picture of the earth, a kind of rough sketch. And on the other side, I had my friends and anyone I could find write wishes and prayers for peace. One afternoon in Soweto, outside of Johannesburg, I planted seeds with two young boys from Soweto. One of them couldn't read, and we helped him because I had them also write prayers. In Lesotho, I was there on New Year's Eve, the only white person, and I was staying in a little remote village, but there was lots of music and lots of women. There was a concert, and I got dressed to go to the concert just outside on the big softball field or soccer field. And these women, this very proper Lesotho women with all kinds of jewelry and fancy clothes, invited me to sit with them. And then we all danced together. And the next morning, New Year's morning, the whole area danced and they pulled me in. And I was a Lesotho person. And in Myanmar, where I have been 10 times, I went off by myself. Here again, I danced with a new culture. They taught me how to dance. They dressed me. Everywhere I've been, when I was in the South Pacific, I went to a small school, and in many places, I have sung with the children in Gaza, and they sang back to me. And I was recently in Ukraine, traveling alone by bus, and I don't speak the language. And really, in most of these places, I don't speak the language. I don't know anyone, and yet I have the privilege and the honor of getting to know them. And they don't think of me as some art dealer or somebody who wrote a book or somebody who is in a play. They think of me as the person smiling and wondering. And I remember one time I was on a beach in the very remote part of Myanmar where I have traveled at least 10 times. And I was alone. I had my journal. And out of the jungle, I saw these young kids spying on me. And I beckoned them, and they didn't really feel comfortable coming close at first. But pretty soon one did, and they could look at my journal. So I drew a picture of a face smiling. And then more children came, and I drew an eye, and I said I, and they said I, and I drew a foot and a fish and a bird. And for 3 days after that, I would go to that same place, and the children would come out and smile with me and say words and appreciate my really poor drawing abilities. In some way, I am a solo person. I can appear friendly, but I only show up with the part of me in my social circles. Oh, we know her. That's Linda. But when I'm traveling like that, when I'm not where I'm well-known character or entity, I find connection with people. And I find that I have an immense desire to smile into someone's heart and to feel that smile coming into my heart. And I know this for a fact that it is possible to be face to face with almost anyone and maybe find those paths. So we have a different religion, but I'm interested in your religion. No, you have no religion. I'm interested in that. You're afraid of this, or you're not. You're fearless. I want to know you because it's a way of knowing myself. Because I don't mean to say these phrases that we all say, but I'm going to say one. We're all one. We're all the same. One time I was in the South Pacific on a small island, and I was about to give that talk to a school class. And as I was walking, I was thinking, I'm going to tell these people about how I live in the United States on the other side of the Pacific Ocean. I'm going to tell them how we are separated by the Pacific Ocean. But boing, something came in my head. We are not separated by the Pacific Ocean. We are joined. It's the Pacific Ocean that joins me from New Mexico with you from this small island, Tonga. We are joined by the Pacific Ocean. And that then extended my whole life after. We're not separated by these computers and these miles. We are joined by this experience and opportunity. And if we all could think about that more often, how we are joined and how we are the same. Ah, what a wonderful world. I have been thinking about different ages, the different ages of me and how lucky I am to have had them. And the age one for me, the first part, was so much about who did I want to be? What did I want to be? Where did I want to go? And then who are these impulses? Who is this future Linda? And then that middle range is when I was writing my memoir. Who have I been? Who was I? What's worth writing down? 33 years having an art gallery and even more years traveling around. And now, in this really remarkable time in my life, who have I become? Who am I? Who am I really? I certainly, through all my acting impulses, have invented myself and spoken in strange accents to entertain or confuse. But everything, all the acting, all the presenting, all the wandering, what does it come to? How is it manifested in me? And it's me talking to you and being emotionally ungarbed and spiritually open, the parts of me, the intellectual parts, the social parts, the spiritual parts. What happens when they're all woven together? And how do I acknowledge to myself that I love who I am? I've made mistakes, big ones. I've missed opportunities. I've been sad. I've been in a state of wonder and letting me know, and actually letting you know, and letting anyone out there know. I just want to love the world, love you, love my life, love waking up, loving the birds, the sky, the book I'm reading, life that goes on all the time, the problems I address, the problems I avoid, the ways in which I accept myself and forgive myself. This is going into my ninth decade, and I wish it for everyone. I know a lot of people who reach my age or 10 or more years younger feel old. I am not old. I'm 80, but I'm taking care of myself because I want to be 100. One of the sadnesses that I've carried with me always was that I didn't feel that my mother approved of me or loved me or wanted me or wished me well or encouraged me about anything, taught me how to take care of myself, nothing. And for so often through my life, meeting people who talked about their wonderful mothers, it, it was and is an essential sadness. I was denied, as far as I could see, a mother's love. And I took it out on her because I went as far away as I could. And in these later years, even in my book, in my memoir, I forgave her in her coffin because I wasn't equipped to find my way into her. And I wasn't interested in whatever made her how she was. And I forgave her. And I think in doing that, it was one of the biggest things I ever did. And it helped me. And then I had to think, because I had that mother, I became who I am. And maybe if I had a perfect mother, I would have become one of those other women I invented who, in my stories, did not succeed in some way that made me envious of them. I thought with my children, I was the mother to my children that I wished I had. But only recently did it occur to me that I might not have been the mother they wished they had. Stay tuned. I want to encourage people and cheerlead and inspire others to also love their life. It just, to me, doesn't make sense to be alive in a body, whatever it's like, whatever color it is, whatever size it is, whatever condition it is, to say, I love this. I got here. I want to share it. And I want to acknowledge its wondrousness. And I want to be able to see that. I would love you to read my book. I am proud of it. But more, if you could read it, if you did read it, would you let me know what you thought of it? Or would you call me? I do quite a few public talks. In fact, when I turned 70, I went around the world in 70 days. And so with a very good friend, I was thinking, what can I do when I turn 80? And she said, you could give 80 talks in your 80th year. So I have been speaking at churches and libraries and living rooms and book clubs, but I'm more than halfway through 80 and I have not given 80 talks. And I'm not that good on Zoom, but I would love to travel. If somebody wanted me to go somewhere and talk, I have a whole lot of topic and I would like that. I wrote another book called it's the Trans-Siberian Railway Journey because right before COVID, I had the great good fortune to take the train from Moscow to Vladivostok. And on that trip, I had asked my artist friends, some of them, if they would make a small original work of art that I could give to someone I met along the way. Big long trip and over a month. And I thought I would get about 15 little works of art, but I got around 100 and I gave them out on that trip. And that book talks about that trip. I would just like to know you. I love letters. Email is always great. Linda La Vega at gmail.com. LindaLavega at Gmail. And I will answer you on Facebook. I'm Linda Durham. I'm not the only one, but the only one in Santa Fe. And I have a website. It started out to be an author's website, and it's lindadurham.us. I can be reached that way. If you want to write to me and you want me to write back, remember snail mail? I still like it. Yeah, I had another project with the Wonder Institute, which is another part of me. And I did a postcard project where I made these postcards and I put stamps on them and I gave them to people. On one side, it just had my address. On the other side, it said, I wonder. And I asked people to write what they wonder about and send it back to me. And I have hundreds. I always thought I would do a book on what people wonder about. And it's one of those projects that never got to fruition, like this one, which is the optimistic deck. And it's a deck of cards and quotes by all kinds of people about optimism. So you could pick one out, like I will pick one out. The longest journey is a journey inwards of him who has chosen his destiny. And that's by Dag Hammarskjöld. But there would be one by John Lennon and other people.
Thank you, Linda. You are right that we are connected because of this technology across the country, across the oceans, across the streams, and connected because of the miracle that is this universe that we share. You have lighted up in me my sense of wonder for the world and the potential for human connection, and an appreciation for beauty, an appreciation for the life that I have and the life that you have. I look forward to talking to you again on that 100th birthday and seeing what you are continuing to do to light up the world around you. Folks, can you see how Linda's openness to the world, her awareness of herself, her awareness of who she is, that allows her to shine with confidence into the world and have a sense of agency for taking action? Those are change maker skills, human connection, even without a shared language. Folks, can you see how this way of being in the world, curiosity, a sense of wonder, a sense of well being for self and others, opens up the possibility that we would each be ready to shine our lights, to make our own impact in the world? Because Linda is in my circle and I am in hers. We have the potential for enriching one another's lives. And in that way, we can continue to show up as our best selves, as our better selves, so that we can each individually and together change the world on our own terms and in our own special ways. Next week, I will bring to you another change making woman who's changing the world on her own terms, not like Linda, not like me, and not like you, in her own unique and special way. And in the meantime, may you be grounded in your beingness, guided in your own doingness, generous in the way you connect with others, and inspired in what you reflect on internally so that you can reflect externally and consciously make the changes you want to see in the world. I'm Patty Talbot. I'm always learning, and I know you are too.